Mr. President, Alexandria Robbins broke a wall of secrecy in her book, Secrets of the Tomb, about the details of membership in the elite Yale University society called Skull and Bones. Members include many of the most powerful men in the 20th century. Members are called bonesmen and are forbidden to reveal anything about the tomb or inner sanctum, a windowless building draped in black and red velvet with pentagram symbols. Bones include many of the most powerful and influential men in American society: presidents and Supreme Court justices, leaders of industry, captains of cabinet officers, spies, etc., and often their sons and now daughters, getting as many members as possible into positions of power. It all begins with someone approaching from behind and tapping you on the shoulder, and they yell, "Skull or bones, accept or reject." After acceptance, members are then subjected to a bizarre initiation rite. Robbins spells out there's a devil, there's a Don Quixote, there's a pope who has one foot sheathed in a white monogrammed slipper resting on a skull. The initiates are then led into a room one by one. And once the initiate is inside, the bonesmen shriek at him. Finally, the bonesman is shoved to his knees in front of Don Quixote as the shrieking crowd goes silent. And Don Quixote lifts his sword and taps the bonesman on the left shoulder and says, "By the order of our order, I dub thee Knight of Elogia." Initiates are then reposed in their rebirthing coffin, where they regale members in graphic detail of all the sexual escapades they have ever had. In exchange for swearing allegiance to your fellow bonesmen, undergoing this oddball rite and swearing absolute fealty and secrecy, the order will promise you fabulous lifelong wealth, trips to a private island, and much, much more, effectively buying your silence as to its inner workings. But the Yale Skull and Bones Society has nothing on the Lansing Skull and Bones Society when it comes to secrecy and avoiding transparency. Our Lansing bonesmen have kept a strict lock on transparency and sunshine here in the state of Michigan like no other state. Just look at the latest headlines, and you can see what a laughing stock our state has become. The secret deals, the hidden agendas cut across both political parties, both chambers, to include the governor's office. Privately held quadrant meetings are conducted behind closed doors to carve up $1 billion in taxpayer-funded goodies unveiled just hours before we're asked to vote on it. The former Speaker of the House, a Republican, gets funding for a $25 million no-bid contract, which just happens to go to his former staffer. The former staffer spreads the money around to close associates, the funding all agreed to and signed into law by the Democrat governor. Then there's the big Democrat campaign donor and former vice president of the Democrat Party, appointee of Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who's getting a $20 million grant for her nonprofit that she's just now all cobbling together, ostensibly to attract business startups. And these are just the tip of the iceberg of the glacial-sized $1 billion in secret grant corrupt spending boondoggles. This brings us to the bill that I introduced to bust the hold of the bonesmen on our budget process. The bill requires that all appropriation bills must be put up for public scrutiny at least 48 hours before a vote is taken. Wow, terrible idea. And that legislators' name has to be associated with every earmark, and that every bill has to disclose if a sponsor or a family member has a financial interest in that appropriation. Finally, it requires documentation of at least some community benefit before the appropriation is made. That bill and all my other transparency bills have been made to slumber by committee chairs. I've been reading in the exuberantly expectant press about the transparency plans from the Democrats, rolled out at a snail's pace and in all likelihood watered down and conveniently be introduced months from now, probably after the budget process is complete. Oh, how the Yale bonesmen must be green with envy. Yes, indeed, the more things change, the more they remain the same. The Lansing bonesman gets the gold mine and the taxpayer gets the shaft.